Have you ever gone on holiday with a 360 camera and shot so much footage that you never actually sat down to edit it because it was too much work? This is the most common mistake beginners make when using a 360 camera like the X5 as a travel camera, causing their precious holiday memories to be trapped forever inside an SD card. And after getting home from the most epic Europe trip ever, I discovered some techniques while I was away that helped me shoot, edit, and upload awesome 360 shots daily, all while still having the majority of my time each day to be present with my holiday and enjoy the amazing experiences Europe had to offer. So in this video, I'll share the most important shooting and editing tips you need to know for shooting Insta360 content on your next vacation. These tips will still apply though for day-to-day shots you shoot anywhere. Big thanks to Insta360 for sponsoring this video, and all shots taken within the video were shot with the X5, which I'll link below. However, you can still follow along if you're using an older Insta360 camera or a newer one that comes out in the future. Now, my first tip is don't record for hours on end. You'd be surprised how many people do this, thinking that a 360 camera will just magically create awesome shots for them, therefore they leave it rolling for hours on end. But here's the truth. The best shots are intentional ones and, more importantly, short ones. Therefore, I'd recommend sticking to a maximum of 30 seconds per clip. Just put yourself in the shoes of someone watching back your clip on Instagram and ask yourself, will this hold my attention? Most cases, the answer will be no. Therefore, keeping your shots on average from 5 to 15 seconds is going to be the sweet spot for maximum retention and easy editing. That is, unless you're going for a time shift effect like a hyperlapse and you need to record for over 5 minutes and speed it up to that 5 to 30 seconds. But just remember, the longer your clip is, where have I seen that body language before? The longer your clip is, the harder it's going to be to edit later. Now, if you are waiting for something time specific, like a dolphin jumping in front of the sunset, you want to capture it. Instead of recording for hours and hours, you may want to try shooting in a different shooting mode. And there's one here on the X5 called loop recording. What this does is it will re-record over the same part of the SD card, deleting the previous section. And you can set this to be as long as you like, whether it's as short as a minute or all the way up to 30 minutes. It will just mean that later on, you're not having to go through all that footage to find that 5-second little chunk of great footage, and it also won't fill up your SD card in the process. My next rule of thumb for practically guaranteeing that you get an awesome shot wherever you may be is capturing 3 shots per location. Since when shooting 360 videos, you won't always know until later whether your shot actually worked out or not, and therefore whether it's usable. And while you can use the live preview on your phone, which greatly helps with this, there's still a pretty good chance that your shot's going to end up kinda meh. However, if you choose 3 different shooting ideas and perform them all simultaneously at the same location, chances are, by the law of deduction, that one of the 3 will actually end up being good. For example, inside this awesome City Hall building in Munich, I wasn't 100% sure what the best shot was going to be, so I tried a couple of different things. I tried running with the camera and filming myself at 50 FPS, and the shot was decent, but there were no obvious ways to reframe this footage in a way that felt unique. So I tried a completely different idea where I spun the camera around me while walking through this courtyard. And that one was better yet again. I don't know if it's an amazing shot, but it turned out really decently. Not my best work though. Then for my 3rd shot idea, I moved the camera from the ground to the sky, to the ground, to the sky, and so on. And to be honest with you, I had no idea whether any of these shots would be any good. However, by the law of deduction, after editing all 3 of them, I ended up with one banger. And yes, it was shot idea number 3. Here's another example. At Lindenhof Park in Zurich, I did the same thing. I tried the first shot idea that came to my mind. Maybe this will work out, maybe it won't. But if it doesn't, I've got my 2nd shot idea. This slow motion shot will look cool, right? Well, it didn't turn out that great. But that's okay, because I shot a 3rd shot. This time I did something extremely silly and impulsive, as you can see. And the end result, look at that. That is absolutely fantastic. Even I was surprised at how well it turned out. And while I was there, I did one more shot yet again. The good old hamster wheel. reel. And this one ended up being the most successful of all shots and went pretty viral on Instagram and Facebook. So that's all well and good, but how does this save time then? You're shooting more shots. Well, firstly, all of these shots took a cumulative time of around 10 minutes per location. And secondly, knowing that there was probably one banger amongst the 3 or 4 shots I took meant I wasn't wasting all that time trying to polish a turd and make the other worst shots somewhat salvageable. Instead, I did the most simple reframing on the best shot and got the best results. And because I kept my shot ideas to around 10 seconds, it was so easy and quick to reframe. Now, sometimes shooting multiple shots won't be possible due to a time-specific event or a location you're only at for a limited time. In that case, the best thing you can do is just use your intuition about what the best shot might be. Like here I am in Budapest at the top of St. Stephen's Basilica, and my intuition said to put the camera over the edge and raise it up and shoot it in slow motion. Lo and behold, that idea turned out to be a winner. Although it just as well could have turned out to be not so great. And if that's the case, then so be it. It's all about the numbers game, and the more overall shots you take at different locations, the more bangers you'll end up with. Now, something else that made shooting so much faster while I was traveling was just keeping the camera permanently set up on my selfie stick and put in my bag. So literally when I was passing through a cool location, it wasn't a whole stop and get out your camera bag and sort through to find all the stuff and put it together. No, like literally the camera is set up and ready to go straight away. So having a portable selfie stick, like here I'm using the Insta360 Action Invisible Selfie Stick, is going to be so valuable in saving time with your camera setup. Now, when it comes to editing, I know you're going to be tempted to bring your laptop along and edit that way, but I would strongly advise against it because editing on a phone is going to speed up your workflow significantly and reduce the amount of bottlenecks and toing and froing between different devices. And all of this eats up unnecessary time. So start by heading down to the album tab here, and now we're going to connect our camera to the phone. Now, depending on whether you have space available on your phone or not, you can actually edit wirelessly straight from the camera without downloading any footage first. Just keep in mind that this will slow you down since it's relying on that connection constantly, especially with big files. So if you do have the space, I'd recommend downloading as many files as you can to your phone and then just deleting them later once you're done editing. So to download in a batch, you want to tap the tick up the top right, and we're going to select all the files we want to download to the phone. Then tap download. This will mean that once these files have finished downloading, we can now turn the camera off and put it on charge and edit these files while we're traveling. The only time I'd consider not downloading a file is if it's a really long one, like a hyperlapse you might be shooting. For example, here, you can see that this clip is 8 minutes and 35 seconds. And that's going to take up a fair bit of phone storage space. And if I was short on space, what I could do was just start editing directly from the SD card wirelessly. Again, this is going to take a bit longer because it's relying on that wireless connection. However, here my file is ready to go, so I could start editing this straight away without downloading. I would recommend though downloading any files under about a minute, since these will download relatively quickly and speed up the reframing and exporting process. Once your downloads have finished, you'll be good to edit. Now, as you'll remember, we took multiple shots per location, which means the next stage is figuring out which of these multiple shots are the winners. To preview a shot, just tap on one and it will play automatically. And this is now the viewer that we're interacting with, where we can preview the shot and even do a quick micro edit to just see whether this has winning potential or not. If you feel like it doesn't, you can just tap the arrow to move to the next one, and so on. Now, there are many different ways to reframe a shot here in the Insta360 app. Personally, I think there's too many, but from doing this for a really long time, I can tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt that the best way to reframe is going to be by manually keyframing your shots. So you'll see there's this diamond icon here. If you tap that, this will bring us to a manual keyframing page where it's really simple to edit and reframe this shot. Before you do anything, you want to remove the top and tail, which are the bits where you're setting up the camera at the start and end of your clip. So I'm going to tap and drag this across across until I get to the first usable frame of this clip. Likewise, I'll go to the end and drag the out point to the last usable frame. Next is when I would add a speed effect. If you shot a clip with the intention of speeding it up or slowing it down, you'll want to do it now. And to do that, all you need to do is tap back and then edit and speed. Then to apply a speed effect to entire clip, just tap entire clip, and I'm going to slow this one down to 50%. Then tap the tick to confirm. If your shot doesn't have a speed effect though, then ignore this step, which means that it's now time to keyframe. So if we go back to our very first frame, what I'm going to do is set my first keyframe and first viewpoint. And I love this touch interface. It's so fast being able to just swipe with your fingers. This is definitely the fastest reframing method. To add a keyframe, tap the yellow diamond, and now I'm going to play the clip forward to the point that I want to add the next keyframe. And that's going to be around here. So I'll repeat the process and reframe the shot to the second viewpoint. That looks good. So I'll add a second keyframe. Now I'll play the clip forward once more and add a third where I'll do a nice zoom out. Now notice here that I'm only using 3 keyframes, and I'd strongly recommend that you do the same, especially if you want to keep your workflow short. And often shots only need 2 or 3 keyframes to have total wow factor. As you can see here, this shot is already a banger. And don't get me wrong, there's definitely a time and a place for shots with more keyframes, and I'll definitely explore those in future videos. But if you want to keep your workflow short, again, I'd really recommend keeping to a maximum of 3 keyframes where possible. Now I'm just going to make a final adjustment by removing the end. It looks like I've got a little bit too much footage there. So now my final clip is 9 seconds. And if I play this back in full screen, that feels like the right amount of time for this shot. It's exciting, but it also doesn't drag on for too long. Now within the app, most other options you'll find for editing and reframing really are optional, and I'd recommend avoiding them, since 360 shots really are about the wow factor of the reframing as opposed to anything else. So all I'm going to do is tap this yellow button up here, and on the export page, I'm going to adjust the settings from 1080p, and I'm going to select video quality here and drag the slider up to 4K. This will make sure we get the best video quality possible. And now I'll export to phone. Now, one bonus app I want to show you that I used a lot during my time in Europe is the Edits app by Instagram. And this is essentially Instagram's version of CapCut, where you can edit short reels really quickly, and it's completely free. Unlike CapCut, which is now becoming a pay-to-use app. And the interface of this app is so simple. All you do is import your clips and connect them together. It's very touch friendly, so you can adjust clip length by just tapping and dragging, and you can add text layers very easily, as well as using music. You can even color correct your shots here in the Edits app if you like. Now, if you tap export here from the Edits app, you'll see that this app was designed to natively integrate with both Instagram and Facebook. So if you want to make an Instagram post, just tap it and it will instantly set it up as a reel where you can add a caption and post it. However, you don't have to do that. You can just download the video straight to your camera roll and use it wherever you like. I've been using a lot of these for YouTube shorts as well. So anyway, that was just a bonus app I thought I'd throw in there, since it was a part of my travel workflow that allowed me to post these daily reels. So there you have it. That's my travel workflow for shooting Insta360 content while I'm out and about, without it becoming a big overwhelming thing and feeling like you have to spend hours and hours each day editing and reframing your shots. Now, I will say that of course there are exceptions to the rule here, like if you're deliberately going out to create a walking tour of a city and you want to show it in VR, then yeah, that's going to take a lot more time shooting and editing. However, just keep in mind that attention spans are so short. So the shorter you can make your content, the higher the engagement's going to be, and the easier it's going to be to shoot and edit lots of shots. Speaking of lots of shots, in this video here, I share 10 awesome shot ideas that you can achieve with your Insta360 camera, regardless of what it is. And these are all super beginner friendly. So grab your camera and follow along.